All right, welcome everyone. It's a very special episode today on Flying Stories, and I'll introduce the host and the topic. So today's host is Vijay Soni, and a very interesting story that goes back almost when I was in like my ninth standard, maybe. That's how far his career goes. I mean, he started as one of the very early pioneers of paragliding scene in India, right when there was a time which I just came to know that some of the gliders used to get manufactured in Mumbai, and he has actually test flown some of them. Uh, from that, even the early paramotoring days, as early as someone trying to put together a paramotor using a motorcycle engine. So it goes back all the way to 1989. Can you believe that? I started learning about 2010. So it goes that far, and all these years he has evolved from earliest instructor, and now he has his own school. A very standard figure in all Indian Opens, pretty much on the podium in international stadiums. I mean, I was just looking at his career and what he has done. I can go on for next 15 minutes just trying to read out what he has achieved. But there were some fun facts as probably the earliest along 70, 80 kilometers in Pune, Maharashtra region, an FAI triangle in this region, 100 kilometers, paramotoring from Goa to Ahmednagar. There are a lot of interesting things that he has done over these years, and simply a world-class pilot among us to guide the young minds who wants to enter the scene of competition flying and so on. So that's Vijay Soni. Uh, Now, the topic today is also quite interesting. Vijay being the engineering background and a very keen mind, I call him a tinkerer, the original thinker, or someone who's not shy of coming up with his solution quickly rather than relying on some official front end shops to do things right for him, and then wasting his early days. He's known to think off his feet and come up with a very innovative solution. So you are going to see some of that in the today's session. So today's session is about fine tuning your flying gears uh, with that wing. Uh, Many of you might be wondering, what so much about the wing? It's nice, it's new, it's shiny. I can lift it, it kites, I can take off, I can land. Everything looks fine to me. I'll just give a quick story here. Let's imagine you just walk to a nice vacation, and there's this little Cessna, a small engine aircraft taking you to a beautiful island nearby. If you walk to the strip and if you start seeing some of the wing are twisted, or there's a bend in the wings, would you even think about boarding that aircraft? You know, you should care about it. But at the same time, I've seen many people over the year happily go on uh, kiting their wings, flying their wings, even though they are completely out of trim. And I think to myself, why is the case? I think our aircraft is pretty unique. It's a lot tolerant, and that's how we can all continue to use it like that. But really, when the wing is in our in our harness, we don't get to see the entire shape. Our profile is only be seen completely when it's nicely kited over your head and a tight and a wind, and that's when you can see the whole wing. And a millimeter of precision can completely distort the wing, which can cause degradation in the lift and so on. So it's a very important thing for us to, just like that aircraft that we talked about, the bent wings, you won't fly in that. Likewise, you shouldn't be flying in a wing which is out of trim or not really flying worthy, could stall early, which I will take you in a lot more detail. But it's just not wings. So in today's session, we are trying to cover a bit more aspect on reserves and harness. So as a whole, the wing on your head, the harness, the reserve, that's all together an aircraft for you. And just like in aviation industry, we absolutely need to have an yearly check, yearly maintenance, yearly observation, and even a knowledge how to fix it on the fly in case you need it. You are in the middle of, let's say, a bivouac flying. We had a lot of sessions that, or you're traveling somewhere and you're flying. In the middle of those days, you suddenly have a challenge. You have some tear, you have some line problem. How do you fix it? Rather than throwing away your entire trip, how can you fix them? So everyone, welcome Vijay.
Thank you, Rohit, and thank you, Badri, for starting the wonderful story of flying. And yes, it is very important to maintain your glider. Always flying, people keep flying. They don't look after the wing, and most of the accident goes because of the maintaining the wing properly. So this is very important, essential topic to look after. I'm been flying. I'm lucky to get my mentor in India. I've learned by myself, and all the thing I've done without any instructor. I mean, I have just done my basic course, and I was lucky to find a school which was manufacturing glider in India. And immediately after finishing my course, I used to go there, stay there, repair the glider, see how they manufacture it. So I become a part of whole school, looking after everything, also testing the glider for them, also testing all the new wings. They also get the old wing, and I was a test pilot for them. So this is how my journey started. Totally self-taught, self-learned pilot, and I'm going to cover some important topics in this session. Like we'll start from the repair kit, which is the most essential thing in your flying kit. Then about the reserve, about the glider maintenance, how the porosity has to be, how it affects the glider performance, or line trimming, etc. So I'll share the screen now. Visible?
Yeah, Vijay, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we are starting for glider care and clinic. So we'll start from the repair kit first. This is very important thing in the flying gear. Without a repair kit, your flying gear is incomplete. And these are the photos of my flying repair kit. It is a box of Pandora, like it's a magical box. You can repair anything, whatever kind of damage it can be done, repair. So I'll give you some example. Means like people think it's easy, like repair kit nahi ho gaya to kya ho gaya, it's okay, but no, normally you don't get repair kit anywhere on the takeoff. You get it on the landing and everywhere, but nobody shares the kit with you on time on takeoff, and your whole flight gets spoiled. So maybe it's a very, very good day for flying and it is gone. So especially for the competent pilot, nobody wait to give you their repair kit, and if you don't have on that day to repair your glider, your day is gone. So this is all my flying experience for years and years. I keep adding all the kit one after another, and this final kit I arrived on. Like I'll give you some example about this repair kit. What miracle it has done? Like this is late in 2006-7. I don't remember exactly.
Vijay, can you go to the next slide and start showing the content? People can look at the content while you tell us some of these great examples.
Yeah. So these are contents of the box. It's all thing in my small box. A very small box, like easy to get this box. Like you get the phone, new phone, that box you can use for the repair kit and keep everything in that. So in 2006-7, there was a competition in Himachal, and my room partner was the Sanjay Pendulkar. You all know him very well. So we were flying together, and in one task, he went into the tree. And in the evening, he called me and telling like, I have damaged my glider very badly. It is torn into two parts from the middle. So I am not coming back to the room. I'll come tomorrow. I'm staying with the villagers because I think I cannot fly. So I just told him one thing that, see, I can repair a glider if you wish to fly. If you wish to fly, just come back overnight. I'll make sure I'll repair the glider and you will fly tomorrow.
The glider, which is in two parts, huh?
Yeah, almost in two parts. So he trusted me, and he came back to the room, and I just looked at the glider, and some line was damaged, cell was broken, many things was damaged. So within 2 to 3 hours, like 2 hours in the evening, 1 hour in the morning, I repair whole the glider, and he could fly remaining 2 tasks with the glider.
Wow.
So this miracle can happen with the small kit. Definitely, you should have some knowledge about this, how to repair, how to do. But yeah, it's possible. Okay, we go by step. What should be there in the repair kit? There has to be one scissor. Everybody knows this thing. A Swiss knife with the plier. This is also very important because sometimes plier you need to open your eyes. Someone is hanging in the tree, so you have to remove lines. So there's a plier is required. And lighter, it is also very important when you do some line work. You have to burn the end. And lighter, you have to be very careful while carrying lighter. Nowadays, they don't allow you to carry lighter in the aircraft. And by mistake, if you leave a lighter in your repair kit, if the repair kit is in the glider, then probably your baggage will delay. They'll find in the scanner lighter, and they'll remove glider, and you reaching destination, the glider will come next flight. So most of the reason of delay of glider is lighter. And you should have the sticky repair tape for the glider, and sticky repair tape for the harness also required sometime, which is more thicker and more stickier. Normally you don't get this easier, but we find this sticker to put on the number on the glider, so we sometimes take some extra sticker from them and that we use as a for the harness. You should have some needles, different size needles, also bigger, longer size needles, like see, this is the needle box of all size, and this is the longer size needle. Okay, and you also get half round needle. That is also part of my repair kit. It's not in the photograph at the moment, but some corner which is not easy to stitch, that half needle you can stitch that thing. And also one needle I keep always with me. It's like a cobbler. You know, cobbler, they have a special tool like putting inside and cutting the thread and pulling it out. It is also very, very, very important. Everyone should have in there. It's a small tool. Everyone should have that one. You should have a thread like a nylon thread, thinner one. To glider kit, sometimes you have to stitch the line. You cannot knot the line. You have to stitch the line, make the loop the line. Never give the knot to the line. It is very dangerous. Because knot give the scissor effect on the line, and the pressure it can cut the line. There are many accidents happen in past about the test pilot testing the glider, putting the knots and flying the gliders, and in this pilot the lines get broken off and on the spot they're gone. So never put. That's why you need stitch thread to stitch the lines.
Or you can do splicing as well, right, Vijay?
Splicing, but still it has to be proper. Otherwise, the splicing will come out.
You need to practice your splicing.
It is a technique. Everyone should learn these things, small things. Whenever you go flying, spend some time with some people who are doing all this stuff and learn. By watching, you'll learn a lot. You don't have to pay anything; just have to pay attention. And also, here's the thicker thread to stitch the harness. Sometimes your harness get some problem, so you have to stitch your harness. And the Velcro, 2-inch Velcro, 1-inch Velcro, and this is very useful for the competent pilot to put the instrument and everything. Sometimes you don't get sticky, so even I have the trick to manage put the instrument without the sticky Velcro. Okay, this time in the Nepal, the whole team was there, and many pilots have taken their use of it. So a handful tricks, and O-rings you required. You know O-ring?
Yeah.
It's a small black ring on the line on melons to keep the line together. So this is useful thing. Some Fevikwik. You have the different sets of line, like different lines, like main line, cascade thinner lines, brake lines, speed bar lines, 6M safety ropes. It's also like a line, not a big quantity. It's useful. 6M rope is useful for the sometimes tree rescue. So sometimes required. when you're flying alone, cross country, you don't know what is going to happen. So always good to be prepared with all this equipment. And brake lines sometimes get coating comes out, and then you have to change the brake lines, even the speed bar lines, and the elastic lines. This stretchable heavy band, which we very useful for small jugards, Indian jugards, and
So that's a bungee cord we use in
yeah,
our,
kind of thing.
under the pod. Yeah,
Yes,
right. That's right.
and these are the nylon tapes, 10 millimeter, 20 millimeter. This you can make reserve handle. Now I don't keep. I have different idea for the reserve handles and all. And there was one incident in Macedonia in 2009, and that was first time after the Asian Championship I went for the flying competition in Europe, Eastern Europe. And on the first day, first task, I came into the mid-air collision.
Oh.
One pilot got into me, and we got rectangle. I tried to come out of it, but my brake handle was broken. So now there's no brake handle, so I can't fly. So I have to deploy my reserve, and we both came down, went into the tree. It was first ever task, more 5 days remaining. So now this is the first time I encounter that I'm without the spare bag, reserve bag. I don't have the reserve handle. You understand?
Yes.
And it's a big mess. So, but somehow I had some things with me and some idea. So I made my own reserve handle. I managed to borrow the outer bag for the reserve, and I next day I flew. So I'll show you my that jugaad also of the reserve handle. 1 minute. Yeah, you see this reserve handle. This was belonged to some other harness, and the length was not longer enough, and the pin was different for the this thing. So I used the coffee stirrer. If you see this is a coffee stirrer as a pin, and I flew all task with this thing. I put some extra Velcro stitched by my hand, so handle can stay next to me. Understand? So this
Yeah,
all small
really thinking of
whatever
history
you
there.
can do with these things, small things. And there's speed bar pulley. This was also not in my list of the repair kit, but one time once I went through this experience of my pulley get broken during the
Hmm.
competition. This was in 2005 in Himachal again.
That's the pulley in your harness and not the
No,
pulley in your,
no,
yeah.
pulley on the riser.
On the riser. Okay, that
Yeah.
one broke.
So
That's
this was
usually
my
quite.
first glider, brand new glider I bought out of factory after my
Hmm.
flying started. In 2004, I bought this thing after my almost 8 years of flying. Till then, I was just using the used wing, like second wing, borrow from somebody, bought second hand, flying continuously. This is my first brand new wing, only 25 hours in the air, and it was from Jean company, and it's broken in the air. I was using a
Oh.
wing bar, it's broken. From that day, I managed to put this thing also in my list. You also need Brummel hook. Sometimes it's very useful.
Hmm.
For the reserve, you should have all these things like a reserve pin lock, like the small elastic come for the holding the pin of the reserve. Sometimes you don't get it. You can make by that bungee cord, but it's good if you have the original one always. And rubber band for the reserve for the packing. If you don't have reserve rubber band, then you can have surgical gloves to make reserve rubber bands. This I learned from PG Gurukul Guruprit. Like cutting the finger of the surgical gloves, they act as a proper rubber
Yeah,
band, which is very useful.
comes very handy. Yeah.
And after my this mid collision incident, I started keeping the spare reserve handle, spare reserve container, other special material or tool you can use in emergency. Like 7 8 years back, they stopped using the metal pin. They're using the nylon pin for the reserve. And I go found this nylon cable, solid nylon string in Pune market. So now from this jugaad, I can make any kind of reserve handle, any kind of reserve pin. It's like a half an hour job for
Very
me.
nice. Yeah.
Some essential things you require in your kit, like medicines, like painkillers, rehydration pack, some grip bandages, adhesive bandages. This bandage for the, if you get some cut somewhere, you can put it immediately. Bandage, if you have a small injury, you can immediately take yourself that precautions. And this is very important, local money in small currency. Yeah, you will be carrying your wallet, that's a different story. But you should have the local currency separately packed in your repair kit somewhere inside. So in case of you're going for the long distance, your pocket is some you lost, you don't forget your wallet or something. So this always remain with you. This will help you
Very
bring
handy
back
tip.
your this thing. This is very useful. And the head torch is required. Sometimes you're landing somewhere far away, it's dark, then you need head torch. Some sugar candy, some nuts bar, but make sure you don't leave this sugar candy or nuts bar in the harness. Otherwise, in
They
long
melt
stop,
and they
the
could
rat will
create a
come
mess.
and they will go through a harness. And most important thing is toilet paper. This should be must. Yeah. And main thing, you should have Jugaad mindset. See, I'm from civil engineering and this is all my hobby, and I don't like to study, but I like to do all these jigsaw puzzles and everything. So this is the result of this handle of my Jugaad mind. Like you can solve any problem on the spot with the small tools. And you should have basic knowledge about different knots available. It's very handy because you have everything, but you don't know how to put the proper knots. It's not used. So everyone should have this knowledge of about this basic, about the first aid basic knowledge, etc. Okay, any questions now to anybody? So we can proceed further.
There's a quick question. I think. Can you please repeat your point about the candy? I think you said the bears might get attracted towards it. That's one.
No, not bear. It's rats. If you
Rats. Okay,
have
rats. Got it.
small
Got it.
candies inside, then
Okay, yeah.
store it somewhere.
That, yeah,
Rat will come and
that will
bring
damage your harness, and yeah,
harm.
you're right.
Whatever eatable,
Great point. Yeah.
it should be removed immediately. And main thing, all this repair kit has to be kept not in the back pocket. It has to be some in front pocket, because this emergency kit, some back pocket. So it should be reachable by your hand.
So you're saying that this pocket should be always reachable to you in case you're, let's say, hanging by the tree or something. Is that what you meant?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, great.
And not only the glider. See, this is repair kit. Not only repair your glider, it is sometimes used to repair your shoes also. Sometimes glider bag also. I have gone through all these things. Like that's how I come to that cobbler needle. Okay, I can repair my whole shoes with this. Once you want to take off and your shoes is not, sole is gone and you can't walk properly, your flying is gone. So sometimes you repair your bag also, like your main bag get broken and you stitch with the repair kit. It's very useful.
Great point.
So any question or we proceed further?
We don't have right now questions. Yeah, we can continue.
Do this. Now we'll go for the reserve first. It's a small, what should be done while flying. Like everyone must fly with the reserve. In our days, we were not flying with the reserve. That was a different story because it was not available and not enough glider to fly. Then forget about the reserve. So, and second main thing, many people fly with the reserve parachute, but they don't know how to deploy. It's a very big thing. If you don't know how to deploy the reserve, what's the point in keeping the reserve? Okay. So they have to learn how to deploy. And it's not a rocket science. You have to follow some basic steps to learn. See, I have learned all things by myself, not even gone to SIV course and everything, but I have deployed reserve for 3 times. reserve properly without failing it. I have not done the course, but I have done practice. Like whenever you're flying, you should have habit of without looking at the handle, hand should reach immediately your handle, whatever side your handle is there. Make habit to check this 3-4 times, every flight. So
Interesting.
even without looking at your hand should be go there. Okay. About the deploying, there's lots of video available. You don't need to go to SIV to deploy the reserve. It is not only deploying the reserve also, but spoiling the canopy, putting in the water, salt water, and lots of mess. Okay, so you can watch lots of video on the YouTube. Nowadays, Google is so easy, so everybody can learn by themselves how to deploy the reserve. And also, everybody must know how to pack the reserve. Everybody know, but they are not confident enough, so they don't trust themselves. That's why they don't do. But they should keep, because sometimes somewhere you stuck that you have deployed your reserve, nobody to help you for the packing. You should know how to pack it. And everyone should pack the reserve every 6 months. In India, I have seen many people, they don't repack the reserve for the years and years. They are just lying, just keep it as it is. It's not good. It will not open.
Yeah.
And everybody should buy their reserve immediately after the lifespan of first reserve is gone. Normally, reserve lifespan 10 years. People say we have not used the reserve, so why to change? But in this fabric, there's a span shelf life. Even if you don't use it, you keep it for the many years, and you open it, it is going to tear from the trees. Dangerous. So it doesn't happen so easily. But why to? Your life is very precious. Why to just compromise?
Yeah.
Okay. Any question on this?
We have few questions. Some of the questions are around the glider care. So would you want to take the question now, or would you like to cover some area about the glider care, and then we can take
They're
questions?
going there. We'll go there further.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So glider check. They are mainly a line and the fabric. In line, you have to check dimension, that is line trim check, and strength. And fabric, they tear strength and porosity. Normally, I just go for the trim and porosity, because both are connected with the strength and this tear further. If porosity is not good, then tear is going to tear off. And if line trimming is something, I'll talk in further in detail.
Sure.
Okay, now what is
How
porosity?
about the elasticity of the old wings when it becomes spongy?
Yeah, that will come in when we cover this porosity
Sure.
session. It will come.
Perfect.
Okay. The porosity is to the porosity of the fabric. This is little fabric. The glider fabric is made of rips of nylon. Everybody knows this thing. But that fabric is not, it is a porous fabric. To make it a non-porous, they have to coat the fabric with the polyurethane from both sides, which makes the glider non-porous. That material make it non-porous. With the use of glider, this coating get damaged, and glider start getting porous, and that affect the behavior of the glider. So what is porosity? See here, you see in the photo is a porosity meter. Okay, so specific volume of the air, like this cylinder volume is like a 0.25 liter, to be sucked through a specific surface area. There's a surface area on the top, which is 38.5 square centimeter. With a specific pressure, the load below this plate is 10 millibar. Okay, and time required for this is the porosity. Is clear?
Yeah.
So normally, if the second it is less than 20 seconds, then the glider is not flyable. It is almost porous. and more than 280 seconds is like a new glider.
So do you have to check it at the different locations, the porosity, or what's the logic behind that?
It is a 4-point check normally. People don't do more than 4 checks. If they can check in 100 places, the main 4 point. One is leading edge at 16 centimeters, 6 inches below the leading edge, and one is the middle of the canopy, one tip of the canopy, one middle of the side of the canopy. And normally this is tested on the upper surface. It is not a lower surface, because glider tends to get problem on the upper surface while taking off. All the time while taking off, upper surface is touching the ground and getting rubbed with the ground, which is creating all this problem. Okay.
Right.
And how this porosity effect? We'll talk about this thing now. The glider designed to maintain the pressure between the top and the bottom surface as they fly. And porosity of a glider can greatly affect the pressure system. Okay. What will happen when the porosity increases? The change in the performance of the glider, like a glide ratio goes down, the speed goes down, the recovery from the collapse goes down, handling and turns is just like not proper, and also resistance to the collapse and surging is slow. It's like a lethargic. The movement, all the movement is become very slow, and you cannot judge this immediately because you are flying daily your wing. So you're slowly going to that thing. So it's not easy for you to judge immediately. So you start finding all these changes. That's why the new glider fly much better glide. Everything is good. And older glider, they are slower. And the glider is more porous, then it means the material has degraded and weaker than the first when you bought it. The weaker the material, easy it is to go tear. Okay, here tearing means it is not like a tear in the air. Okay, if you're putting in the rough surface and some stone is stuck somewhere, it will easily tear off. If you're landing somewhere in the tree and you're hanging there, it will tear off. It's not in the air. Okay, so it's a big difference. So keep checking your porosity time to time.
Vijay, should we take questions? I think this is a very interesting topic right now about the glider care, the behavior of the glider changes. We have a couple of questions on the line here. We'll start taking some of them. The first question is with Lakshman. Lakshman, can you please unmute yourself? Yes, I have now allowed the participants to unmute yourself. Lakshman, go ahead.
हाँ ठीक है, हो गया मेरा। सर मेरे से एक चीज पूछना था। आपने तो बताया टेक ऑफ के ऊपर मतलब जैसा लाइन टूट गई या 2 पार्ट में हो गया, तो हम वहां पर स्टिच तो नहीं कर सकते हैं। स्टिचिंग इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट, क्योंकि हमारे मशीन होगा तो हम लाइन को स्टिच कर सकते हैं अगर वो पूरा लाइन होगा तो। अगर मैं उसको जोड़ सकता हूँ, ऐसा पॉसिबल है कि तो लाइन को मैं जोड़ सकता हूँ बीच में और उसको फ्लाई कर सकता हूँ?
वो जोड़ना ही है, बट देयर इज स्पेसिफिक नॉट्स फॉर दिस जॉइनिंग द लाइंस।
अच्छा, नहीं उसमें
लूपिंग इज देयर एंड आफ्टर लूपिंग यू हैव टू हैंड स्टिच द लाइन।
नहीं मेरा कहना मतलब ये था, वो नॉट तो मैं बांध दूंगा, मगर उससे अगर वो 1 सेंटीमीटर ऊपर नीचे होता है तो कुछ ग्लाइडर में मतलब ऐसा फर्क पड़ता है कि फ्लाइंग के दौरान या कुछ करने के इसमें?
नहीं, इतना फर्क नहीं गिरता 1 सेंटीमीटर से। तो इतना फर्क गिरना क्यों है? इफ सैंपल लाइन बाजू में ही है सेकंड साइड पे, तो मेजर एक्यूरेटली, डू एक्यूरेट गो।
सैंपल लाइन मेरे पास है ही नहीं, क्योंकि अगर मैं करूंगा तो पूरा लाइन चेंज करूंगा, या तो फिर मैं
नॉट नेसेसरी। You can put the small part in the line, broken line, जो टूटा हुआ लाइन तोड़ के उसके बीच में एक पीस ऐड कर सकते हो बीच में ऐसा, and you can finish your flight. टेम्पररी सॉल्यूशन निकालते हैं, उससे कुछ होगा नहीं, यू कैन फ्लाई फुल्ली.
ओके. और दूसरा एक और क्वेश्चन था कि अभी माइलेंस के ऊपर हमारा राइजर कभी कभी कट जाता है, मेरे को पता नहीं क्यों कटता है वो, अभी तक मैं उसका सॉल्यूशन ढूंढ नहीं पाया कि कटता क्यों है. तो मैंने बीच में ओ रिंग यूज करना चालू किया था, तो उसके वजह से कटना बंद हो गया वो. तो उसका रीजन वही है कि जो माइलेंस में प्लास्टिक होता है उसकी वजह से कटता है कि कुछ और रीजन है वो?
राइजर कट रहा है.
नहीं, राइजर की माइलन के ऊपर जो लाइंस होती है ना, लाइंस का सीट कट जाती है.
हाँ, so that is the main thing. O-ring से वो नहीं कटेगा. If you don't have the O-ring, okay, your line is there on the balance, it can go
हाँ.
this way in the takeoff. So they move. If O-ring is there, that will be stay at one place.
Okay.
Minimum the movement, minimum is the
Okay.
reason. So it will not go.
Okay. और
That's why the O-ring is there.
दूसरा अगर ये क्लोथ होता है, फैब्रिक होता है, जैसा कि ग्लाइडर का फैब्रिक है कि ज्यादा फट गया या ज्यादा हो गया, तो ये तो या तो कंपनी में भेजना पड़ता है, अगर ये ऐसा पॉसिबल है कि वो कपड़ा मिले जो हम इसको इंडिया में रिपेयर कर सके, इंडिया में कपड़ा पॉसिबल है क्या?
Nowadays it's available. वहाँ पे बिल में रिपेयरिंग होता है.
Okay.
Guru is doing regular repairing. They import the cloth from outside.
Okay.
So it's possible, but temporary you can fly. You can repair with the putting the repairing tape on both the side.
Okay.
See, loading is not on the cloth; it is on the ribs of the glider.
हाँ,
It is very
वो
important to understand the structure of the glider. Okay.
हाँ.
See, once you look at the glider, okay, people are afraid. अभी ये line टूट गया तो मैं क्या करूँगा? तो डर के मारे उनका फ्लाइट कम हो जाता है. वो सोच आ गया कि they go for landing. Okay.
Yes.
But you just start looking at the glider. Okay. Count the lines. In the 1A, you have 12 lines approximately, sometimes less or more. And you have B, you have C, you have D. So you have 40 to 45 lines on one side and same lines on the other side. And your total weight is 100 kg. So there's not even 1 kg load on each line. To understand.
Okay.
And if you consider of a 50% collapse, so that load goes to 2 kg. And in the worst condition, the load is not even more than 3 kg. Understand? So everything, even without 2-3 lines, you can fly. I have flown without 2-3 lines. तो निकल गया है थोड़ा, because I know it's not going to affect much. Performance खराब होगा लेकिन, but yeah, I can fly. Sometime in the many competitions, people fly on two liner. They're taking off and they break some line. One line they've broken. Okay, and they finish whole task.
Okay.
It is, you have to trust your wing. Understand? You have to be positive.
नहीं, ठीक है सर, आपने सही बताया ये चीज, मेरे को अच्छा लगा. थैंक यू सर.
All right. The next question is from Gokul. Gokul, can you please unmute yourself?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Sir, my question is how to clean the dirty glider. Actually, my instructor said that we should not wipe the glider with a cloth because of the material will get affected. The life of material will get
It will
affected.
come in next stage. That questions coming. Yeah, but I
Okay,
can explain you should not to use soap or detergent or chemical to clean the glider.
Oh.
You can clean the damp cloth, not more than that. Brittle damp cloth. Because see, this glider material is coated with some liquid. Okay, putting detergent and putting the more water, you are reducing the life of the glider.
Yes.
Handle with care. It's like you have to take care of glider.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. We have the next question from Pancher.
Hi, this is Ronak here. Vijay, this is gold, man. This is really useful information. I'm a beginner. I'm been just flying for a few years. So clearly, you have mentioned a lot about the repair kit, but you do recommend only if you know what you're doing to repair your glider on your own, right? So my question is, for a beginner like me, what's the bare minimum thing that you recommend to carry with me? Clearly, I don't think I am at a stage wherein I can carry needles and try and stitch the lines myself. So what's your recommendation on the bare minimum for beginners like me? And while I have my turn, I'll also ask my other question. Even like, yeah, before even looking at repairing the glider, it'll be nice to have a clear checklist of things that we need to regularly check our glider to be proactively finding issues with them. So I'm not too sure if that's something you plan to cover in the future, but be nice if you could put some light on that.
So what list I've given is a bare minimum you should carry with you. And
As a beginner pilot, yeah.
yeah, everyone should carry that much. Means
Even
some,
the needles and all of that.
yeah, needle is basic thing of the repair kit.
Sure.
You have to
Okay.
stitch by your hand. You have to learn stitching.
Right.
You should know how to put your short button before starting flying.
Yeah. Sure.
And yeah, you learn by the experience. Like it is not, there's no classes for learning all this thing. But I'm sure if you come to flying and you talk about this thing, no, none of the instructor will say that I'm not going to tell you this thing. They tell you everything. And you see the people while they're repairing the thing. That's how I also learn. Many things you learn by others' experience. People are repairing, you just go sit and watch. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
And main thing we are covering at the moment all the technical stuff like so other small basic things what you're talking like cleaning the glider and small things that we are not covering at the moment because we have time restrictions.
Sure.
And
Okay.
that is a part of the basic course and everybody should know this thing easily.
Sure.
Yeah, we can privately get into this and talk further. I have no issue
Okay.
on
Cool. Thanks, Vijay.
yeah.
All right, Vijay, we'll right now pause the questions. We'll cover some material because we might have the answers in the upcoming slides,
Yeah.
and then we'll again open up for further questions.
Okay.
That sounds good?
Yeah. Okay, this is next slide now. Okay, so how to slow down the glider getting porous. Okay, the main 7 factor which spoil the porosity of the glider. One is UV. Like whenever you lay out the glider, don't lay out in wait in the sun for a longer time. If the condition is not good for takeoff, just go and wait in the shade. So nowadays there are many UV protector cover available in the market. You can buy one of them. It's very light and very cheap. It's not very costly. You can put your glider in that. Even if it's on that, it will increase the life of the glider. The heat. Avoid leaving your wing in the hot car because normally you park your car in the hot when you go flying. There's no shade, nothing. And moment you enter, you feel how hot it's inside. That also affect your glider and the coating of the glider. If there is no other choice to leave your glider, then keep your window open by 1 inch on both the glasses. So extra it will keep going out. It will not make your car very hot. That way you can save that part. Damp. Even your glider is slightly damp, don't leave it as it is. Like dry it and then pack it. Otherwise it will spoil the porosity. Abrasion. Avoid walking on the glider. Normally while walking like packing, people walk, they put your weight and it is under the ground and your body weight. So that will also spoil the glider, this thing. And sand. If some sand particles are left in the glider, okay, remove them immediately. Because once they are in, you are packed and keep moving and it will spoil the coating of the glider. Okay. And dirt, that same question like how to clean the dirt on the glider. Don't use the detergent or chemical. Just take the damp cloth and clean it. This is also in the end of the season. Nobody's going to see you even in the air like how bad is your glider. Okay. And similar, the salt like dirt. If you are flying near the sea coast, some salty water is gone inside. Okay. So don't pack as it is. That's, salt will spoil your glider. Just clean it with the fresh water and dry and pack it properly. That's how you can avoid getting porous faster. So that's good. We can go for the line check. Okay. Before going,
Vijay, then I think if we have covered the basic care and precaution of the gliders, we can probably take some questions, remaining questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll add 2 points in this before that. Like I have checked the many porosity of many gliders. Some gliders I have checked, they have the 100% porous, like they're not flyable. 22nd I'm talking about minimum value. But 3 glider I have checked in such a condition, they have 0 second porosity. At moment you open, it is zero, it's 100% porous. There was no coating. And this all glider were flying. It doesn't mean that your glider is not flyable when it's porous. They were flying. But they are flying in rough conditions, like a very strong wind condition, and they are doing whatever they want. And other pilots on the takeoff, they're talking, they see their people, how they're stupid, what they're doing, they don't know. Even the pilot don't know what is happening because they don't know their glider is porous. Because now I have the machinery, I can check the porosity. Then they came to know because this they were doing this mishandling of the glider. Okay. And with the porosity, what happens? Like everybody learned the theory of the how the glider fly, the aerodynamic of the glider. Okay, the wind particles split into two part, and one goes from the upper surface, one goes from the bottom surface. Bernoulli's theorem, like upper surface has to travel more faster, so the pressure goes down. And the lower surface particles go slower, the pressure is higher. That's how the glider fly. Am I right? This is the basics of the P1, P2. Everybody knows this thing. So with the porosity, what happens? And that the flow on the upper surface, you also get slower, which not give that enough low pressure to have the more lift. And it put the glider into sluggish conditions. You understand? So these are the things. And even in testing, we have found out that some colors are very get effect very faster, and some colors are if you get affected very later. Means same glider, some colors we found very porous, and some colors we found as good as new. It's a big debatable issue which color how it is. So we are not going in detail because every company have their different theory and they have different list of this, so that can be checked on the website. Now we can go for the question answers.
Sure. So the first question I'll read out is very simple. Can I use a porous glider for ground handling?
Yeah, possible.
Perfect.
Good.
So the second question is from Pratik. Pratik, can you unmute yourself?
Hi Vijay. So I have three questions here. The first question is, since you said that if the glider is very bad from porosity point of view, so whenever if we send it for a test check into factory, are there options where they retreat it so that the glider's porosity improves, or that is not an option currently?
See, this is also one point many people talk about recoating of the glider. Okay. So use a logic. Okay. Once your porosity is gone down, the strength of the glider fabric is also gone down. Okay.
Okay.
And definitely you're going to spend some good amount for the recoating.
Correct.
And definitely the glider cannot be recoated as a new plain fabric because it's very complicated design. It is coated from both sides, inside and outside.
Correct.
Okay. And so why want to risk your life? Go for new one.
Understood. Okay, that answers my questions.
Yeah.
My second question is probably I'm a real beginner, and that's why I think I missed it. But a while back, I think Lakshman was discussing about malleons. My question is, malleons are also called as quick links that are just above the risers connecting to the lines. So was a discussion around replacing the quick links with O-rings, or was it something else?
No. It is not a replacing of the malleons. They are not quick links. They're malleons. Okay. They are attachment between the line and the riser. Okay.
Okay.
And in the malleons, there are 3-4 lines together.
Okay.
And that line to keep it top edge. The O-ring is a plastic O-ring.
Okay.
It is keep the line together on the top part.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will keep moving up and down in the malleons, which will spoil your line in future.
Okay, so understood. So this is not a standard on all new gliders. So this is something that you recommend that we can add.
It is standard, but sometimes it breaks. And you don't have the replacement, and nobody sells these things, small things. You have to keep it with your repair kit. 90% of my repair kit is been used by the people, not myself. It's for other people. Take it that way.
That's good to hear. Also, I'll quickly wrap it up with my last question. How do you recommend storing the glider in monsoons? As you know, we live on the Western Ghats and the monsoons are pretty intense here, which increases the humidity also. So how do you recommend storing the gliders in monsoons?
First thing, don't wait till the last day when the monsoon sets in. Okay, because all the damp air will come. So just before the season ends, pack up your things in a nice hot weather condition in the daytime. Clean it, separate it from the risers, from the harness, put it in the polythene bag separately, and if possible, if you have the vacuum cleaner, put it other way and suck out all the air from inside and wrap it up with the brown tape so no air humidity there. And you can put it in the bag and put it some dry places, not in the damp place.
Understood. So is it fine that if that glider is folded for the next, say, 3-4 months? Because some people were recommended that you should just open up the glider and put it in the dehumidifier in a room. But as you know, a lot of people don't have the privilege to actually dedicate a room full just for a glider, keeping it open and keep a dehumidifier on. So any comments on that?
It is good if you can manage to do this way. It's good. But see, you are cleaning all the air from the glider, putting in the polythene bag, and sucking out all the air from inside and packing it with the brown tape. There is no air circulation inside. If you're just going to put glider as it is, regular packing and in the room, then this dehumidifier will be helpful. But this is the worst case means. Even if you don't have, nothing is going to happen in this case, what I have suggested.
Understood. That really answers my question. Thank you so much, Vijay.
Okay.
All right. Quick housekeeping. Badri, I'm going to need you to start managing the host responsibilities. I have audio, but I have dropped off. My screen has gone kaput. So I can continue, but you'll have to handle unmuting all or muting all when we continue to the next section. You hear that, Badri? Please confirm.
I'll give you back. Don't worry. In a while. For now, I'll handle immediately.
Okay. So the next question was from Ravi. Ravi, please go ahead.
Hey, hi, Rohit.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hi, Vijay.
Hi.
So I hope you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, thanks a lot. I mean, this is a very important topic. Hi, Vijay.
Hi.
Yeah, Vijay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, first of all, thanks a lot, Rohit and Vijay. It's a very important topic. And in fact, I don't have any questions. I would like to add one suggestion. See, anybody, if they want ripstop tape, repairing tape, it is with me. I mean, I have availability of around 5-10 numbers. Okay, so it's just like a help only to the team.
This is cutting. I'm not able to hear.
Yeah, we are having a trouble hearing you, Ravi. So maybe you can type what you would like to add a comment, and we can read out later.
If anybody wants repair tape or like nylon thread and cloth, patches.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
it is available with me.
Yeah, if I were to quickly summarize, if someone needs repair,
yeah, please continue.
Tape or a thread,
yeah, Rohit, my apologies. I mean, I think my internet really it's bad.
No worries.
Let me type it.
Yeah, sure. I guess the next question is from Sunil.
Yeah, Vijay.
Yes, Babuji.
How often do you recommend that we do the porous test on the glider?
Normally 100 to 200 hours, and then the repeatedly further up. And
okay.
Once, even if you go in the water, that reduces the porosity. So,
okay.
And normally, mainly people in India, they want to buy a used wing canopy. So it is very essential to buy an old wing by taking the proper porosity report from the authentic people. Okay.
So you recommend basically about 100 hours. After 100 hours, you should come in for a porosity check, for a full glider check.
Yeah, means see, it depends. Like you understand with the behavior of a glider, because many gliders have tested like they are more than 400 hours and their fabric was as good as new.
Okay. Okay. Another thing is you said that like when you throw the glider in the sea, when you're doing your SIV, does it really affect the life of the glider?
Yes, it affects.
It does, huh?
Yeah, because the sea water is salty water, and if you don't clean it from the fresh water, the salt particle will stay inside. Okay, and when you're packing, the salt particles they will keep rubbing to your fabric, and they will spoil the glider.
But then one side you're saying do not use water, do not use detergents, do not use this, don't soak it, and then you're saying it's going to affect the glider also. I mean, I don't understand.
If you keep the salt as it is going to affect more than the water used.
Okay. So it's going to affect it anyway.
It is going to affect. Means if you consider if you glider is going to see, okay, if you're not cleaning the salt, the life will be 100 hours. Okay.
Okay.
If it is gone in the sea and you clean with the clean water, the life is still going to be more than what it's going to be without cleaning.
Okay. Another thing is you said about this vacuumizing facility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, vacuumize the glider, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But everybody doesn't have that facility. You see, do you have that facility in case a person wants to get it vacuumized?
Nowadays, I've seen there's some bags available on the Amazon also, which have this facility.
Okay.
I don't have at the moment, but I'm going to start very soon.
Okay.
Next year, not this year. I'm not prepared. But it's simple. Like even if you have that garbage bag, bigger size, you just keep your glider inside and wrap it with and put your vacuum cleaner inside with the reverse flow.
Okay.
It is all the wind from inside.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Quickly pack it.
Thank you.
So just a quick tip from my side.
Yeah.
In addition, there are materials available like absorbent materials in a shoe box size. You can nicely keep your glider open, wrapped up in and sealed in a plastic bag, and a couple of 2-3 boxes inside. That completely takes the humidity out for the entire 4 months of rainy season. I have tested it with a probe, which measures the humidity inside, and it has shown for 4 months it was completely dry air inside that enclosure. Just another tip.
All right. Thanks.
There are also silicone bags available in the market. You can put in the glider, which absorb all the extra moisture available there.
Okay. Thank you.
So Vijay, I think we should continue. There are some questions, but I think we have a very important topic coming up, which is the trimming. Then we can again open up for some additional questions. Sounds good?
Yeah, we'll go further. This is line length check. Okay. So line length check. Line length are the crucial since they control the shape of the glider. Okay. And it is measured from the lower surface of the bottom, lower surface of the canopy, the inside edge of the nylons. Connect the lines to the riser with 5 kg of the tension. This is standard format. And normally in line checking, the line measurement, we check to the original table plus and minus 10 millimeter. and offset off with the 50 millimeter offset, like whole line length be reduced by 50 millimeter plus or minus, which is allowed. And it is measured with the laser machine device and computed, and then by making the trim changes, we adjust the loops on the melons. That's how the trimming take place. Okay. And why do line go out of trim? This is the main things to understand why it goes out. Okay. So main loading on the glider. Okay. So line mainly shrink. They very rarely they expand, means they stretch. Most of the line will see they will shrink only. The shrinkage chord wise. If you see the structure of the glider, leading edge is more loaded and trailing side is less loaded. Okay. And span wise, center of the wing is more loaded and the tips of the wing are less loaded. So most of the load on the A and B line set, and the C and D have the less, so they shrink more. This is the normal behavior with the normal flying conditions. This is how the glider shrinks. Okay. And second, with the flying habits. If some people fly right more, thermal right more, okay, so they're more loading on the right side of the wing. So they get more stretch light set lines. Some people fly across. Some people do spiral dive only one side. So more force on that side. So that is more stretch. Less shrinkage will happen on that side. Other side will be more shrinkage. And that's how the uneven trim out happens with the glider. And one more possibility, hard landing. If you land in the tree and you're hanging by some lines, so that line gets stretched. All the load of your body and harness is on that line. And some hard accidents on the takeoff, you got dragged and some line got stuck somewhere and all the load comes on the lines. That's how it gets stretched. This is how the line get out of trim. Okay. And effect of the out of trim glider. Okay. One main thing will happen, angle of attack will increase, which will slow down the turn speed, because this is the your angle of attack before the normal, and after shrinkage it will become more higher, so which will slow down the glider, and that will bring the canopy to the stall point, and it's likely to be going towards more spin, and also affect the top speed when you accelerate. Overall, it will reduce the performance of the glider. So, till now, any questions?
Vijay, can you just tell us a bit more about what would you expect at the takeoff? Often this behavior can also be observed. The wing might be hanging back a bit. It doesn't come up right over your head. Something that
exactly everything is going to happen. Like if angle of attack is more, your glider is not going to come all the way up easily. Okay, so it will come slowly. Sometimes it is like unevenly it will come. Many things, but on takeoff it will not make you understand that easily.
Okay.
Because many sensitive pilots can make out this very easily. Not all the pilots, and all this happens, but it is see, all pilots are not the comparison of performance pilots. So this is very not visible at all. They will just visualize that glider is going on one side. They don't know why it's going one side. Okay, because one side is stretched or shrunk more, and one side is less shrunk. That's why going on one side. So it's very small things.
Yeah. So I just have a quick story here to share. My Rook 2 was getting a bit sluggish, but I was flying it, and it's a slow frog effect. So I was compensating the slight shrinkage in the rear risers by pulling harder on the takeoff. And I was flying with Debu at that time. So Debu observed me for a couple of days taking off in Beer, and I would have to really give a couple of very sharp yanks on A's with both the A's in my hand, and I'll turn and take off. I'll do pretty right launch every time, no problem. But they would just walk to me and say, Rohit, just check your rear lines. They might have shrunken because you shouldn't have to pull so hard. So as a pilot, you may not even realize it because you'll compensate that, but someone else with a keen eye can spot that for you.
Yeah. And nowadays, if you see the new gliders come with the loops on the rear lines, they come with original loops on the B and C. 50 hours they tell you to open it because they know they're going to shrunk. And further up, they shrunk more.
All right.
Yeah.
So should we take some? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Class that do line stretch. Yes, sometimes they stretch, but in very quite rare occasion. And my logic is stretching of the line is not good actually, because if you see like if you're talking about stretching, after stretching come breaking. Before breaking, stretch will come. So their lines tend to break more if they stretch. If line shrunk, that is they are coming together. It's the logic. There's no this thing. So it's much better if line shrinks. But it is very important to be in the trim also.
Yeah, let's continue.
Table I'm just telling now how we check and how we. It's like this is the length of the original from the company, and this is what we measure, and there's a difference what comes, and with the main trim what is the difference according to the measurement with the loops. There are different type of loops we use for the trimming the glider, like 10 millimeter, 20 millimeter, 30 millimeter, 40 millimeter. So that's how we complete and do the trimming. Okay, now we can open for the questions.
Sure. So there was a question, Rohan, can you please go ahead and unmute yourself?
Actually, I just written it. Is it okay to fold and vacuumize the glider, because won't the folding harm the glider itself?
No, come again. I'm not getting your question.
You said that it's okay to store the glider by vacuumizing it. So to vacuumize the glider, first we need to fold it into a small thing. So we vacuumize it, and it will be like okay. But if we fold it, so the folding won't harm for a long period of time to the glider.
Yeah, after folding, there's no problem. You can vacuum after folding only, not open glider. Because anyhow, you have to fold it first, then put it in the polythene bag, then you have to vacuum out.
So the compression won't cause any harm, Vijay?
No.
For
it won't.
Long period?
No.
All right.
Okay,
so
thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, next question is from KK. KK, can you please unmute?
Yeah, hi Vijay, how are you?
I am good, KK.
Okay, Vijay, I have a question. See, when we talk about extreme maneuvers during SIVs and in general also, because, a lot of times we have a lot of altitude and we come down in spirals, and in SIVs, we're doing a lot of stalls. So I want to know how much, these maneuvers play on the life of your canopy, as in terms of the cloth, and how much do they, stress out your glider? Do we need to get a glider trimmed after every SIV course, or how does it work?
Yes, if you're going in the water in the SIV, the life of glider is going to go down, definitely.
Okay.
And if your takeoffs are smooth and landings are smooth, not being very bad ground handling, that will not affect the porosity of glider. Even your maneuver will not affect that much.
So if we do stalls or if we do spirals, they don't mess up with the glider trim and the life of the glider.
I'm talking about the porosity at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
but very badly it is going to affect your trimming, because you are doing very high G force and you're doing the stuff. Normally I recommended if you do the spiral on right side, you do it also on the left side equally. Even in the competition we are flying, we come down spiral dive all time, but we do equally, like turning right half the time, turn left half the time. So we maintain the trimming of the glider. regular. So yes, every 100 hours you should go for trimming. That is my suggestion. Every 100 hours.
Okay, and in that 100 hours, we can do 1 or 2 SIVs. That's okay. I mean,
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but as Vijay said, if you go in water, for sure go for a check.
Yeah, of course.
Because the line may shrink, sometimes, especially in the Dyneema lines, the manufacturer has pre-stretched Dyneema lines. Okay, so if it gets wet or the change in temperature, like extreme heating of those lines, and our temperatures are often 40 degrees in summer, sometimes the Dyneemas start going back to their unstretched form and they start, shrinking. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Vijay, the next question is from Vistas. Vistas, can you go ahead?
Hi, Vijay.
Hi, Viz.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yeah,
Okay, so my
yeah.
my question is that you mentioned that when the lines shrink, so how do you trim the lines in this case? What you just have to stretch it out, or what do you do to put it back into the correct length?
See, stretching is not a good idea. Because
Okay.
whatever stretching you will do, it will come back to the original again.
Okay.
So,
all right.
There's a margin from the looping. We bring the glider to the trim. We are allowed to do 50 millimeter plus or minus all the line. Like if you see offset
Okay.
of the 50 millimeter of the line table is acceptable.
Right.
So if your
Okay.
maximum shrink is of 40 millimeter, we find okay.
Yeah.
So we trim all the line 40 millimeter. We put
Okay,
the
I
following
understand.
okay, and then they bring the other
Okay.
figures into the plus.
Okay, and this
So
is done. This is done how? This is
on the
This is
computer.
done
It
by
is
loop. No, it is
yeah,
done by looping, or the lines are cut and spliced, or what is the method?
nothing is cut. It is just a formula. If like your D line is shrunk by 40 millimeters, say, okay.
Yeah.
Your A line is shrunk by 20 millimeter.
Right.
So the formula, what the measurement of the line is given to me from the manufacturer. I've reduced
Right.
the length with 40 millimeter with all the lines.
So you will reduce all the other line. I understand that part.
Yeah. Now the
But I'm saying
D line become 0. Okay.
Right.
And your
Correct.
A become plus 20 now.
Correct.
Okay. Now I will give the double loop on the A line, so it will match with 0 to 0.
Okay, so you will reduce the length by looping, not by
only, yeah.
cutting and slicing.
No,
Okay,
no.
all right.
Cutting slicing is a big.
Got it. Okay, and can I quickly squeeze in another question?
Yes,
is that
yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, is it advisable to use a vacuum cleaner while cleaning your glider or not?
You can use it, but with a low pressure, and
okay.
Don't put that. Should have some brush type of soft thing in the
right.
So it will not stuck the canopy directly, so it will get affected.
Okay, so put something like a cloth or something between the vacuum bristles
nowadays
and
to get a soft this thing also to put in the front
right.
part of the vacuum cleaner. Or
okay.
Something. It will be good useful.
All right. Okay, great. Thanks, Vijay.
Just a note on this one, the microfibers fabrics that you get, typically the 3M cloth that you use to wipe your car exterior, it's also used for polishing. They have a lot more surface area. So rather than using a normal cloth, if you use that cloth, it can pick up a lot of dirt from your wing surface, because the total surface area of that cloth being a soft, that's one, but it's also a large surface area. So it can really pick up a lot of dirt from your wing. Okay.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Right.
All right.
Thanks.
Nikhil, can you please go ahead with your question?
Hi, Vijay. First of all, I found the jugaad that you shared with the reserve pin. Hats off to you, man. that was out of the world. Really, really appreciate it. So my question was, it was pretty similar to what Vistap asked. It was about the line length. So some pilots told me that after first 100 hours, you should release the rear loops of the extra loops that have in the sea risers.
Yeah, it's
rear
not only 50 hours, something. Some people say 50 hours, some say 100 hours. Yeah, but first thing is you have to do that thing. And after that, you come for the training, 100 hours more.
Okay, so will it be only sea risers, or should I do it on other risers as well? Do you have any recommendation on that?
I should open all of them. It depends on what you're feeling, and talk to the expert, like a mentor of this game. They will suggest you leave the one loop. If there are two loops, leave one for see the difference, and then in second flight, leave the second one also, step by step, one at a time.
Okay, got it. And my second question, probably there would not be any answer, but do you have any way of measuring line lengths without having the proper setup?
See, trimming we do with the laser, and without any jugaad, there are the ways, but it's one to one. You know, the person has to be very precise, very testing. And we used to do this thing in the competitions without the laser, everything. But when we can meet, I can tell you all this stuff.
Okay.
I can tell now
okay,
also,
got it.
but it's like no point in stretching the session at the moment for that topic.
Understand. I will write you separately.
Because see, if you don't have any jig or anything, you have to stretch all the line in the same pressure and all the time. You have to be very accurate, very precise. I can do this myself. I know I'm a civil engineer and I'm a very accurate person. So I keep the 1 millimeter tolerance for my work. Okay.
Wow, that's.
And even after checking all the glider for trimming, I can tell you everybody like what is your habit like. You righty pilot, so you lefty pilot, like you like to do the right thermaling more, you like to do left thermaling more, and that is my first cross check of my checking, and I'm 100% right in that. If I see a glider, I see the trimming, and I immediately tell you that you are the righty. You pull the right 360 more because your right side is more stretched, and you will smile and say yes. That is, then I've passed myself. You know, cross check myself.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm always 100% right in this.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much, Vijay.
Vijay, do we have any further slides? There are a couple of questions, but I was just checking on our content
I think we are almost in the end of the slide. Couple of.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then next question is from GRV. Can you please go ahead and unmute?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Hi Vijay. Hi Rohit. Okay, so there is a feature like I also don't know about this. I just recently came through it. I found this in the Icaro wing. So they told about something trim speed optimizer. They had this feature in their glider wing. So I was wondering, let's suppose if one has that wing. So after a couple of hours, which the trimming is needed. So you really need to, trim it actually the way you do it, or you need to optimize it through using this feature.
What feature this is? I'm not getting this.
Trim speed optimizer. So there's a kind of metal buckles that is attached to the lines.
The trims, Vijay. We use it in our
risers,
motors. Riser trims. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. See, nowadays none of the glider pass with the trimmer. I used to fly the glider with trimmer for the 6 years of my beginning. So in that we can adjust the trimmer. So no need to do the trimming of the line. You got my point. You can adjust the trimmer to get the proper trim. But nowadays, none of the certifying agency allowed to pass the glider with the trimmers. If you're using the riser with the trimmers, that means that is uncertified glider. You can fly for the free flying, but you can't fly in the competitions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Vijay, we have a next question, bit of a further clarification on the we talked about. KK, can you go ahead and ask it? Otherwise, I can go. So Vijay, the question is about, we talked about manufacturers recognize this fact that after 50 hours or so, the outer lines probably, or the rear, C lines probably will start shrinking a bit because there's not enough load on them. And they often give us a loop on C, and they ask us to open it after, let's say, 50 hours, right? So the question is again, should we apply this technique or not?
Yeah, it can be applied this thing. See what happens that your first surface leading edge is more loaded, trailing edge is less loaded. So it shrinks more, which increase the angle of attack. Okay. And similar way, your center part of the canopy is loaded more and tip section is loaded less. So that shrinks more, but that brings the canopy inside like this. You can see it clearly. So glider has to be like this and like this. But now after this thing, it is more like this and angle of attack is more. That affect your glide ratio, your speed, everything. I have the results of the people, like I've checked in B-billing only, many foreign pilots, they come for trimming. And after trimming, they have found a change of increase of glide ratio by 2 and more. It brings such a big difference in A and B wing I'm talking about. So it does make a difference. And that what KK is saying, yeah, you have to open it out. No worry. It is definitely going to shrink only. It will come to normal. Okay.
Right. Any further question? Anyone?
Done.
All right. Looks like we don't have any further.
Like you notice the improvement in the performance of the glider. It will be more safer, it will be more responsive and enjoyable to fly. Even sometimes if you feel like your glider is going one side, that means your glider is going out of trim from one side. You understand? But in many cases, first you have to check your harness. See all the buckles of the harness, if they're equally placed. Normally what happens, your harness is quite old and whatever adjustment you do, they start shifting. So I used to do this thing, I have to stitch my belt on the adjustment so they don't move around. Understand? That's where also your repair kit is useful, to stitch your harness in the adjustment area.
All right, we have two further questions. One is from Lakshman. Lakshman, go ahead.
सर मुझे पूछना था, अब लाइन का जो लेंथ चेक करते हैं, तो लाइन का लेंथ चेक करने के लिए हम जो अपना साइड के ऊपर अपना डिजिटल मीटर जो रहता है, वो उससे हम चेक कर सकते हैं क्या? क्या उसके लिए कुछ अलग मतलब चेकिंग का लेजर आता है?
नहीं, उसे ही करते हैं. That is the only instrument we use it for the checking. Okay. It is to be checked with the proper 5 kg of the weight.
Okay.
And उसका टाइमिंग होता है पूरा.
Okay. If you probably उससे वो मीटर से चेक कर सकते हैं हम.
Yeah, but it's not only the checking with that meter. There are a lot of things involved in this checking. If you check line, full line for checking for one time, and you miss again, if you check for second time, it will increase by 3-4 millimeter. If the same line, if you pick it immediately for third time, it will even go further 3-4 millimeter plus. You know. Okay. So precision is very important. The timing for pulling the line is very important. Not only 5 kg. That particular time. Lots of things involved in this.
Okay.
And it is a very patience work and very focused work. Means if I am taking the job, I don't do anything for 3-4 hours. I am totally into it. Because one wrong thing can make the correction all the way opposite side. Which you know what can happen.
Okay. ठीक है, चलेगा sir. Thank you.
All right. Before we go to the next question, there was a nice clarification from Nakul. He said that the Icaro system that we talked about is not really the trim, but it's actually a system on the loops. So rather than doing the loops, there is a pair of screws in line with the rear risers to change the length. So I think they probably have got around the
Yeah, there could be
certification
some.
by
Yes.
adding this system in place.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, the next question is from Ravi.
Yeah, hi Rohit. Hi Vijay.
Hi.
Yeah. So see, my question is related to like the duration of storing a glider. See, I mean, for what duration we can store a glider after cleaning, vacuuming, and keeping it dry and putting into bag. So how long we can keep it?
So it is good if you after 4 or 5 months you have to open out once, twice in the year you have to air out. If you're storing glider for longer time, we will suggest at least once in a 6 months you should be bring it out, air out, and repack it.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, it answers my question. Thank you.
All right, so that pretty much ends our questions. There is a request from KK that we have talked in detail on the glider maintenance, storage. Can you talk a bit more about harness, the general inspection we should be doing, repairs, if any?
See, harness technically doesn't make big difference. That's why I didn't cover that topic, but we can talk about this, no problem. Major problem with the harness, if it is getting older, the adjustment belts, they loosen. Okay, so if you do the setting of the belts, and if you're putting too much load on one side, that will extend and that will become the harness unbalanced. So to overcome this problem, once you do the harness setting, you have to stitch that belt of every side, so it will not slide. This is my own experience, and I got over from this by stitching my. Just give a couple of stitch with a thicker thread, and that will solve the problem. And in old time, we used to have very heavy accelerators. Like on speed bar, the glider was going to be very heavier. So that time we used to replace the harness pulley with the ratchet pulley. But nowadays, I think latest harnesses, you're getting all this ratchet pulley. If it is not there, you have to put the ratchet pulley, which helps you less stress on the leg for the longer glide.
Vijay, I would like to ask you regarding harnesses. I see a lot of pilots flying very old harnesses where the straps of the harnesses have started to wear out. So the thing would be like, how many hours can we put into a harness? I mean, can we just go about flying it indefinitely? The buckles, I'm sure they have a certain life. The carabiners have a certain life. Can you comment on that?
See, whenever you buy a new equipment, your harness is like your shoes. Okay. You cannot wear other people's shoes. It will not give you the best performance.
Okay.
And yeah, in India, people are risking their life by saving some small amount. Initially, you use this thing, but in further up, they have to get some good equipment. You can't continue flying in the same old shit. This mostly happening in the tandem business.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
Yeah, that's a tandem business. That people they have to get educated because they are earning very well. Okay. It's not like they're not earning well, but they are not educated well. That's why they are continuing with the things. But they should not do this thing. That will only I will comment.
So if
can you also talk about the melon replacement? There's a recommendation from some of the manufacturers.
Yeah, if something is like damaged things are in the market, they pull out the stock and keep changing after a few years of flying. Your carabiners also, your melons also. But normally, every 2-3 hours, people keep changing the harness. So the harness come with the new carabiners. So automatically they get changed. The only problem with the old people using new people using the old equipment is the problem for them. At least they should get the new carabiners. This is all small thing. They should understand. But people are saving money and risking their lives.
Okay.
Flying on the cycling helmets, they're flying. It is not recommended.
Yeah, that's again very important paragliding equipment. I agree.
Yeah, some additional tips from my side, especially the guys who have the pod harnesses. Often you have the lightweight carbon fiber seats. Um, Even when you have bought them new, take out your seats, add a tape on all the edges because some of those edges can be sharp and they'll start cutting into your leg strap belts or the fabric around it. If it's a leg support, the front pod support, often it starts cutting slowly into your fabric. So adding a medical cloth tape will protect it much longer. And I would say any pilot should inspect the leg belts going around their seat. Over the time, there is a lot of friction happening in that area, and that starts cutting into your belt. So that's a good practice.
Yeah, that's a good practice.
Anyone else want to share? I think Rohan has some experience to share.
Hello.
Yeah, Rohan.
Yeah, actually, when I started my paragliding, so the first time I flew, I found it very difficult to get into the harness after I take off. So what was happening is the leg straps of the harness would just go up and get stuck into my thighs, and then it's impossible to get into it. So then I found out a technique to lay all of my weight on the footrest and then push the footrest and get into the harness, and that really helped me. But what happened later was I broke my footrest because I think the footrest was not supposed to take that much of my load. So what are the better techniques you suggest to get into the harness other than this?
Rohan, I believe we can take this question off to the mentors. This is not related to this topic right now, which is about maintenance and care of your equipment. That sounds good?
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Okay, no problem. All right, any further questions around the topic of glider and harness care? All right, no further questions also on the chat. Vijay, would you like to add a closing summary?
Yeah, I think somebody want to ask question. Some people raise a hand. Yes, Babuji.
For a minute.
Yeah, I just want to ask you one thing. Nowadays, like you just spoke about the harness, very interesting. But you see, nowadays you have harnesses which are very light, like Rohit said, fiber and this and that. But you see, if you want an harness which is well protected, which we used to get once upon a time, with a lot of protection for the back, etc. So are they available now also?
Yeah, they are available.
Okay.
You still get the harness with the big protector, the rear one.
All right.
Now the people are into the hike and fly mode, so they buy more and more lighter things.
Yeah, so that is okay for lighter things that I know. But for if you want protection, in case you want to give your back more protection, so there are these new harnesses also which are there.
Yeah, available. Yes.
Okay.
Very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Vijay?
Yeah.
Would you like to add any closing comments for the session?
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody, to attend this session. This is as good as important as flying. And yeah, fly safe, stay at home.
Thanks, Vijay. And
Thank you,
thanks,
Vijay.
everyone, for joining. Yeah, maybe you can all unmute yourself, say a couple of comments. Many thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Vijay. Thank
you, Vijay.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you.
Very good,
Vijay.
so much.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Rohit.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Rohit.
Vijay, thank you very much. Rohit, thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Rohit.
Padri, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Vijay.